Welcome back to Chance Kate's Tutorials. I'm glad to have you back. Today I get to show you a little bit on how to find decent quality shares or stocks to review. So today I was lucky enough to find a trend method in researching. So the good thing, a lot of people want to know when's a good time to buy. So today I found indicators in Yahoo Finance. You go to you look up your stock, and then you go to the charts tab, and you can select indicators, and you have a large number of options. And the two we want to review, well, there's three. There was the moving average at 50 days and moving average at 0 days. Or no, not 0 days, offset. And that gives us a line of what the average price is across the past 50 days relative to today's trades. When the daily trade has a uptick that crosses over the average and the volume spikes, that's a good time or a good point to say that activity is coming up that's going to make the stock value a little higher. You can also look at the moving average. What was that one called again? Moving average MACD. It's not there. Okay. So it's the MACD, and it shows volumes of trades and the moving average effect. So if the lines cross, that's an impact comparative to the volume of trades, whether it's buying or selling, will be a potential warning point of when to start buying. It's not foolproof, but I found it interesting and to learn about these available in the graphs on Yahoo. They're also available to some degree on the TD Ameritrade account. I do not know yet if they're available on Robinhood. But how do you pick a good stock? You have a few other tabs here. If you don't know much about which activity you want, or which companies suit your activity or your risk tolerance, you have a few screens that are pre-built through Yahoo. So there's the stock gainers, the stock most active. The most active is the volume of activity is really high. The stock gains lets you see how much of a gain some of these stocks have made for the day. And then you can go in and look at some of these extra details. You also have stock losers. That's interesting, it shows 0. So that's an interesting company. Let's see if we can find another one. Big gain. Kubota. I know Kubota's a tractor company for farm equipment. Well, I'm not being too lucky with the targets, am I? Alright, here we go. Oh, there's still no bid or ask. the over-the-counter delayed price. Where is Star Gamers? Here's Chewy. Alright, so today's stock, Chewy had a 5% gain in value for the day. And we can come here to our chart and look at some of that other information I was talking about. So for the day, the moving average crossed on the downslope. That means this might be a good time to sell. And here's where it crossed on the upslope. It crossed briefly in the down, but then the entire value climbed for this period of time. And you see here the volume is quite high. So we look at 5-day trend, and we'll see where the stock came down below, and then today's activity. So there's a lot of good information here on this chart that just at a glance you kind of see where you want your activity to be at versus the 50-day average, and that'll help you decide what price you should be buying and selling at. I'll go into greater detail in a future video on how to target when to buy or sell further based on this information, but it was just something I learned about today that I thought was useful to review. Another screener was save screeners, and you can have targets of growth technology, how much stocks that gained for the day, undervalued large caps, undervalued growth stocks. So let's see. So here's Twitter. And let's take a look at the chart. They've been climbing for the entire day, and they crossed up and down around the average. In the 5-day, it had a climb, then a drop, and then another climb based on the average. So you can kind of see where you would want to do your buy and sell based on where this volume of activity is occurring. It's not foolproof, but it is able to help you maximize some of the gains if you're doing a short sell. And again, this is a way you can look at a bunch of different stocks that you're not commonly reviewing for different possibilities. So stocks most activity, PG&E is an electric company here in California. It's heavily undervalued. We had an issue here, but it looks like it might be a potential investment. So we had across the 1 day, we had it climb for a little bit, and it crossed in, sold. There's huge amounts of volume in sales right now. So all of this doesn't tell me it is profitable, but what it does tell me is these might be good times to buy or sell if I'm looking to catch a market when it's making a certain sort of move. So right here I would want to sell because the value of the stock itself is coming down towards the 50-day average. I could hold on to it and have gains, but as you see, for the rest of the day it just dropped its overall value. And right here might have been a good time to buy, with the price being $12.29. That's a 70-cent difference. I wouldn't suggest doing this on a day trade, but if we looked at it on a 5-day scale, right here at the, what's this? Oh, 5-day again. On the 8th, darn chart, it was down and there was a huge buy, bringing it from $9 a share all the way up to $12, and then it more or less floated in this region. So if you would have bought on the 9th, 8th or 9th right here, and then rode into the curve, you would have made $3 profit per share. And we can look at these graphs, we can look at this history and kind of get a handle of when it should be making an action. And then we could come into our trader stock, so PCG, and we could say, okay, based on the chart I was just looking at, let's see, add data, moving average, let's see, where's the line, volume, no, I want to see the volume, MAC, oh, they've got a very nice MACD chart. So what I was talking about with the MACD chart is your buy line should be when it crosses over the sell line. That's when, and the volume is on going up, that's when you should be considering as a time to buy into the share. It might not be the best time, but it should be a time to consider. And then when the downward slope occurs and the sell line returns on the top end graph, that would be a good time to look at when you should try to sell in that higher priced area. Again, I would not do that on a day trade situation because most of our accounts will not be friendly for that. Robinhood charges extra fees for day trading, but if you're doing it on a week-long basis, then maybe you would buy right here and then sell right here, and you would have had, let's see, that's a price $9.37 and price was $12.15, no, $12.77. So that'll tell me right there that I would have made $3 across that week per share by taking advantage of that movement. It's not a guarantee, but some of the information is now available through these charts, and I'm learning how to read them even better. Hopefully in the near future I'll actually be able to explain to you how these numbers are gathered, but it is available on Robinhood and Yahoo Finance, as well as the TD Ameritrade account. Robinhood also has a let's see. Show more popular collections. So they have new technology, finance, popular items in there, oil, gas, software, energy, and they have lists of stocks that might be interesting for review. Again, it's the same thing as, or similar to the, pardon me, market gains and losers. It just helps us look at more stocks so we can decide on what would be good to get invested into. And so let's see, new on Robinhood. Let's go technology. We'll go price under $15. And there we go. Snapchat, Zynga, Sprint, Nokia, Fitbit. So Plug Power, they're saying it's worth it buying the stock. Look at the 1 week. It's got a good amount of movement, some higher and lower volumes. Crossed into that buy and sell. Just the line, the graphs look good, and I look forward to bringing you another video on how to read them with descriptions. I hope this video has helped you at least learn where to look for additional stock information. It is not an all-inclusive list, obviously, but maybe it'll eliminate some of those stocks where we don't know if we want to invest in them, like these that are losing 6 and 10% in value. They may be something to invest in, but then because we don't know what is out there, we don't even know how to target stocks we wish to use. Hopefully, knowing these sources of where to look for new stocks might help us further decide on what investments suit us. Thanks for watching. Please leave me a comment with suggestions, questions, future video content. I'm happy to try and answer a question. Anything I get to research for you helps us both, and I look forward to bringing you my next video. Have a great evening.